Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Today's video is jam-packed full of beautiful pumpkin DIY ideas, and as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this project, you're going to grab these copper scourers from the Dollar Tree. They come 3 to a package, and you just take them out, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze them and kind of fluff them. I found if I pressed them like this and kind of squished them together, I could get the sides to go up just that little bit more to make it look chunkier, I guess. And that's what they look like when we're all done. Now we're going to go ahead and take my awesome crafting saw. If you guys want to, I get so many questions about this. It is awesome. And you can see I take safety precautions. I actually have goggles on right now. I don't put my fingers anywhere near the blade, but it has made crafting so easy. I wish I got it years ago. If you want to know, there's a link in the description box, and I also tag it in my video. So I cut all my little stems down. The stems are also in my description box. I get those from Amazon because I can't find them at Dollar Tree anymore. And I cut those down, and I gave each one of these little scouring pads a stem. That's so cute. Look at that. You can see where we're going with this. So I took my Spanish moss, and also I found cheaper Spanish moss from Amazon. So again, that's down in the description box. Someone asked me that last week. I think it's like, oh gosh, I want to say it's like $12 or $10, but you get a huge bag. It's way more than they give you at the Dollar Tree, a much better deal. So I do buy it there, and it looks the same as the Dollar Tree. So I just put Spanish moss on the top of each one of these little pumpkins, and then I just wanted a dainty bow, so I just took some raffia and made little tiny bows and put 3 bows on top. And then I thought, you know what, they're a little bland, just plain, so we're going to dress them up a bit with some, I believe this is called gingham print, black and white ribbon here from Dollar Tree. I thought I'm going to cut it to make it thinner so it goes with the petiteness of these pumpkins. And I didn't worry if it frayed because I just think that, you know, during fall I like it rustic because that's kind of the time of the year for that. So I made 3 little bows, and I put the gingham print on top of the raffia. And now I'm just stealing some leaves off of some boxwood, and you can just twist them off, and I'm going to add a little leaf to each one of these pumpkins. And that's pretty much it for this DIY. I think these are adorable. They sparkle. They're naturally orange and warm, perfect for fall. I do love to stick with the fall colors during fall. I know some people like to do neutral, but it's only once a year that these colors come along, so I definitely like to celebrate them inside my house. Anyway, I love these. I think they're so cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. Grab yourself 2 of these baskets. They come in black too, but I had 2 gold. If you have 2 black, I think that would also look really cute. Gold is warm. If you're into warm colors for autumn, that would be great. But as you guys know, black is a great color for autumn as well. And again, I'm just using some Spanish moss. You can use whatever filler you want, and I'm putting it at the bottom of the basket. Next, I'm going to fill it up just with 3 pumpkins, but oh my gosh, after I did this DIY, I thought this would be so cute with the little scouring pads that I just did. You know, I would have, because this is a great, like, to me, I'm going to put this on my kitchen island in my kitchen. I just think it's a super fast, cute DIY. And you put the other basket on top of it, and I'm using those little tiny fragile zip ties that I found at Dollar Tree. You can go ahead and paint them gold to match the basket if you want. They also come in black, so if you get black baskets, you don't even need to worry about painting them. I'm not worried about it because it's not really noticeable when everything's said and done, but you can paint them gold if you want to. And I'm just trimming the Spanish moss off around the outside so it doesn't look so wild. You know, it's supposed to be like a contained basket. And I found some gorgeous ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting them into different sections here. We're going to make a messy bow. If you need a tutorial for that, I do have down below in my description box a video that has, I think it's called 10 Christmas bows, and I go over all of my bows and what they're called and how to make them. But this is roughly what you do. You just crisscross little bits of material. I did ducktail them at the end of each of the ribbons, and I am tying it using a bit of Dollar Tree twine onto the top of the basket. You can't really glue it. It's not practical because I don't feel like there's enough surface there to glue it, so tying works better for this particular DIY. I'm making a raffia bow. Love raffia. For those of you that follow my channel, you know I love raffia. I put it on everything. It's like fall. I love raffia, and I wait all year to use it. when it's fall, because this is the time. So I'm just trimming it now and just shaping it and kind of curling it and making it look like it hangs. I guess I wanted it to look a certain way and hang down the side of the basket. And once I was happy with that, I started adding a fall leaf. Then I added a stem. This is going to be like a little basket pumpkin, you guys. That's why I'm saying it's a perfect kitchen DIY. And if you really want to keep it in such a cute theme, you add the scouring pads, because that's also normally found in the kitchen. And it would be a total conversation piece during the season or holidays when guests come over for Thanksgiving or whatever. So cute. I added some flowers, another leaf, and this is what we end up with. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is bamboo reed. It's for basket weaving. I found it on Amazon. Again, it's in my description box. You get a ton for the price, and you can make so many things out of this. It makes nice edges. I've used it before for a faux lid that I made for a coffee can once. I put this around the edge and it made it look like a wood edge. It was really nice. You know, I made it out of cardboard, and I put this around the edge. And then I just recently made a lantern, or it's a bird cage. You could do either or with this. So I thought it would be really fun to make a wooden pumpkin with this. And if you don't have this, you could just buy that, or if you don't craft a lot, you don't want to buy like a lot of a product for something you're only going to probably use once or twice, you could always just buy the Dollar Tree cutting mats and cut them in strips, and they would function the same way. You'd have to paint them and stain them, but they would work. You could absolutely do it that way. So I went ahead and I made circles. They are 18 inches long, my strips, and you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just making like a sphere out of it, and there's my little pumpkin, my little wooden pumpkin. It's all together. I just took my time to get the center. That's really important right there, otherwise it'll be all wonky. And I glued that down. And then for the base, you could use the Dollar Tree wooden plaques. They come in rectangles and squares. You could use one of the squares. You could use the towering blocks. I'm going to go ahead, there's the wood planks right there, but I'm going to go ahead and use the palette here that is from the Dollar Tree, because it's a fall craft, and I thought palette, you know, it all goes, it's a theme, and I'm going to use that as my base. So I'm just gluing it on top of that. Next, I'm going to use the paint color Orange Sherbet by Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm going to give this one coat of paint, and I do paint the outside and the inside. We're giving this a quick blow dry so we can keep moving. It dries really quick. And again, the cut off little wooden stems there, down in my description box. I know I said that, but just in case, I'll repeat that. That's where I get them. That's also pretty cheap too, as I recall. And I, of course, cut them in half. So I bought the bag 3 years ago. I'm still using it, and I do fall DIYs every year, just to give you an idea right there. They do last a long time. And I'm using Celsior grass this time, also in my description box. It just kind of looks like hay. I think it's really finely shaved wood. I think that's what Celsior grass is. And it's just great for fall. It's another option if you don't want to use the Spanish moss on everything. And then I painted my base white. I thought that was pretty, and I wanted to show you, I bought these beautiful sunflowers at Dollar Tree, and yellow is another option, but I had them in orange, so I cut the bottom off, and we're going to put this in the base of the pumpkin. I just thought I'd stick with orange because it's a pumpkin, but yellow, you know, I was torn. I didn't know whether I should do yellow, because the yellow is also a really pretty warm pop of color and very fashionable, and it's trending during fall, the sunflowers. So let me know what you think. I actually would love to hear from you guys, because I could easily change out the sunflower, but I went with orange. And now I'm using these little fairy lights that you can get. They're 12 to package, also really cheap. I think they're like $9.99 for 12 of them. Don't quote me. Again, I think that's in my description box, because they change the prices all the time, you guys. So I try to give you the current price that I remember paying, but if you click on it and you see it's gone up or down, I may not know that as of the making of this video. So I put my little, I wound them up first because they were out of control. I put them inside there, and then I did find I had to tack them just here and there with hot glue to get them to kind of stay up and flare out, because I wanted the whole thing to kind of glow. And you could also use those little tea lights, the electric tea lights that come out during fall. They sell them in black, I think. They do sell black. I think they might even sell orange at the Dollar Tree. Would look really pretty at the base here on top of the flower. That would be super cute with some more Celsior grass or Spanish moss around, or you could just sit on top. I think that would look cute. But I love this one. It came up so pretty in person. The lights just kind of glow. You don't see the detail, and it looks like little fairies inside my pumpkin. Again, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. are those little pip berries they sell at the Dollar Tree. They sell them in like fall colors now. I think there's orange, wine, like a deep wine burgundy color, white, and then there's like red ones. So I've seen, I think I've seen up to 4 colors now. And this one is super easy. They come out already coiled, and you just tie the center either with the twine. I use twine. You could use wire as well. And then you put your whatever you're going to use for your top. I'm using some more of the Excelsior grass. You could use a Spanish moss. You could even use like a reindeer moss if you want it to stay green. Lots of choices there. And of course, the raffia bow. That's just my style. You can use ribbon if you want. And there's the stem. We're going to glue it in the center. This is just a fun, fast, easy way to make a cute pumpkin. And I love making pumpkins that are conversational pieces, because I think that's fun when you share what you can do. I couldn't actually find them in orange. I have seen them in orange. My fall stuff hasn't come to my Dollar Tree quite yet, but when it does, this would also be super cute if you bought them all in the fall colors and made them in different sizes. You know, we could do the coils, different sizes and stuff. And I just am putting like a bunch of stuff on the top to make it look more like it's a solid top. I'm going to put leaves, flowers, stems, and in the final reveal, you guys, it looks like you can't see the stem, but trust me, in person you can. I did use a tall stem, but for some reason it just kind of faded and blended into the background. See, it's kind of all green there, but you can in person absolutely see the stem, and it's such a cute, fun, fast way to make a pumpkin. You can also use the Dollar Tree twine, wire twine. They have wire twine there. Probably need 2 packages of those though, or 3 if you want to make a really, well, it depends on how tight you want your coils. Like I said, they don't have the pip berries out right now. I think this would be even prettier with another package of pip berries so the coils are tighter together, but it still looks super cute, and it's a great idea for a DIY pumpkin. I grabbed this Dollar Tree sign, and we're going to be using the baking pan again. I just recently used this in one of my DIYs, and it's hot, so I'm using a heat glove there to press it down. See that metal leaf on the top? The back of it is silver, and that will become relevant in a minute here. And I just tapped on with a sponge some gray paint to kind of tone down the shine, right? So it looks more like metal and not like foil. And then I took the color nutmeg brown, and I just started adding definition. This was a beloved pumpkin. Everyone loved this and sent pictures of it. So did it 4 years ago, and it's still relevant today. It's one of my favorites. And then there it is. There's a little leaf. I just put it back on, and it's silver, and I put the nutmeg brown around the edge of that so it matched my pumpkin more. Made a messy bow, used a Dollar Tree little burlap maple leaf. I believe those are maple leaves. And this is what we ended up with, and it was so cute. So as promised, I said I would be categorizing my videos, so I took and got all of my favorite pumpkin DIYs for this video. However, I shortened all of them to about 60 seconds, so they're more like a TikTok or Instagram video, just so you have tons of inspiration. But this is one of our beloved pumpkins. Came out beautiful. Let me know what you think. Another great idea is to grab some of these Dollar Tree plastic spoons. I painted them in orange, green, and cream, and I was kind of mixing colors. I didn't have any pre one. I think that actually the cream one might be a pre-mixed color from Apple Barrel Paint called Antique White. But you could mix your colors or use whatever you want. I just tend to always lean, and you'll see that in this video, I lean towards the green, orange, and cream for 3 colors when I'm doing pumpkins. And then I just took a color brown and stained the handles and kind of stained the bottom and around the edge. Took a pencil, made my little pumpkin grooves, and now I'm using a craft stick. I'm cutting it at an angle. I'm going to glue that onto the back of these spoons. This was so cute, you guys. These make such cute pumpkins. Another great kitchen fall DIY, absolutely. And then I just used the Dollar Tree furniture pen to stain those craft sticks. I put a little bit of the Spanish moss under each one of them, and a little bit of Spanish moss at the bottom right there to kind of make it more like a shape of a pumpkin, right? Because it goes down really thin at the bottom. And then you suddenly have these super cute pumpkins. I stuck them in a coffee can I made, and we ended up with this. And again, one of my all-time favorites. It looks so pretty in the kitchen. I got so many compliments on this, and it's so easy and cheap to make. For this next one, you can grab any old Dollar Tree pumpkin for this. I just happened to grab one of these sequined ones, and then I'm taking some of the sisal rope and just gluing it down where the grooves are, and I took a mop head and covered the pumpkin. That was it. And this came up so cute. It looks like one of those sweater pumpkins, but it was a whole different take on it because it didn't look exactly like a sweater pumpkin. This was my sister's favorite. And for the stem, I used a cinnamon stick, which back then I lived in California and I could get cinnamon sticks for 99 cents in the 99-cent only store. I noticed when I moved, cinnamon sticks, I don't find them cheap really. I don't even know if the Dollar Tree sells cinnamon sticks. Someone tell me down below. I've never seen them there. They might. But if you can find them cheap, they make great pumpkin stems and they add a little bit of scent to your craft, which is perfect for the season. So I added a leaf, a tassel, a little twine bow, and that was it. And I thought this one came up so cute. It's so cozy. If you're into cozy fall decor, this is the perfect DIY for you. Another great idea to do with the Dollar Tree little MDF board pumpkins, and you can get them. It doesn't really matter what the print is because you just end up using the back. I just painted this one white. This was a huge hit too. Painted it white, used a pencil to draw some shiplap lines, then I dry brushed a bit of gray paint over the front, made the stem brown, and I took some sisal rope, covered the stem up, and glued it in the back there. I just thought that chunky look looked kind of cute. You could use the nautical rope for this from the Dollar Tree as well if you don't have sisal rope. I used some burlap, and you can find burlap now at Dollar Tree as well. I used a Dollar Tree little stick-on vinyl letters. I put them on the burlap. You can see what I'm doing here, and I just sponged black paint. It's like a reverse stencil, I think that's what they call it. And of course, there are the welcome little metal signs. You can still get those at the Dollar Tree. I think they actually bring out either wood or metal something, little word signs that you can buy, and you can put them on your crafts. You do have to use super glue though if you get the metal ones. They do not stick with hot glue. They'll pop right off. So I just glued it on the front there. I did put a little bit of black paint on there too, just so it kind of blended in with the whole rustic look. Did my little fall burlap kind of sideways like it was falling. I thought that was a cute take on it. And then this was a hack I did that I still do. It's my favorite one to do for the fall, like the base of the stem. You just take a sharp instrument. I'm using some tweezers, but anything pointy, and you scratch those little like lines into it, and it will look like a real base to a pumpkin stem. And it's super easy and fast to do. And that was it. I love this one. I actually had 3 ladies write me. They're up on my Pinterest. They got together for a girls' day of crafting and they made this craft. Loved this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. For this one, you'll need 2 packages of the foam dice because they come 2 to a package, so 4 altogether. And I see them in different sizes now. They may have shrunk them up. I'm not sure, but it still would be totally cute small. Any cube size would work or square would work for this. I think you could even take like the Dollar Tree crates or the little wooden boxes and do this craft. Anything like that would work. And I just painted them white. Then I did a little bit of dry brushing, a little bit of orange around the edge, used the Dollar Tree stickers again and made, spelled out the word fall right there. And then I put a stem on the top. I glued them all together and then I put a stem on the top. And I used one of those rectangle wooden, I had spoken about them earlier in the video, for the base, the little wooden signs that you can get. I think they're called wooden planks. Not signs, wooden planks. And I did my whole gingham print, black and white, raffia. You can tell I definitely gravitate towards that, and lace, and glued it on the bottom. And this one was a huge hit. It came up so cute. It still is perfectly like trending today. I still see this being sold in Home Goods and Hobby Lobby. It is still great, just classic. I love classic fall decor. It never goes out of style because fall never goes out of style. It's always going to be the same thing. Pumpkins, leaves, warm, sweet smells in the air, apples, owls. It's just a super fun time. For this one, I grabbed one of those Dollar Tree trays and I just painted it white with, I believe this was some homemade chalk paint. Doesn't matter though, any paint would work. You can spray paint it to make this super fast too. And I took some paint sticks and I used some watered down wax to stain them. And then I used the same watered down wax to make an awesome frame for this. This actually came out looking like a wood frame. It came out really nice. And then I dry brushed the frame with just a tiny bit of white paint. You can leave it. Either one would have looked good. I just felt like I wanted a little bit more distress because this was a fall decor piece. And then I took and ended up making the paint sticks. You know, you can see what I'm doing here. I distressed them, but I made them mostly white with just a little bit of the darker color peeking out. I took these Dollar Tree pumpkins. I put them on the back of the cork that you can buy at Dollar Tree, that stick-on cork, and I made 3 pumpkins and put 3 little twine bows on. This was a great simple, clean, minimalist look that was rustic and pretty, perfect for fall. I just stood it up on an entry table. Again, I got tons of compliments on it and it was easy to do. I encourage you to try it. Let me know what you think in the comments. This one is an oldie but goodie and classic and comes in as a free DIY, and you can actually make it any way you want. You can make it rustic. I mean, it's depending what kind of decor style you like. Like if you wanted this to be glam, you could use silk or like a shiny silver material. If you wanted it to be modern, you could make them all black, like leather or something. Literally, this will work with whatever you want. And of course, if you just use scrap material around the house, this is a free DIY. So you use toilet paper rolls and you unravel a little bit of it, kind of crunch it up so it gets puffy, and then you wrap it around the toilet roll. And I just had these leftover wooden pieces from like a child's bunk bed that I kept, but you could go outside to Mother Nature, cut some wood and stick a stem down there. You literally could just have fun with this. You could use anything for a stem. I used some leaves that I kind of stained and made a little darker. You can leave them green if you want. And I took some twine this is that twine roll from Walmart. It's still cheap even to this day. I buy that stuff and oh my gosh, man, does that stuff last, you guys? I think I literally replace it every 18 months and I use tons of it all the time. And you can see what I'm doing here. I just kind of glued it in a crisscross and then I use that to make the grooves of the pumpkin, and you just shove your stem in there. And this can be a glueless DIY, so you can reuse the toilet rolls after you're done with this project. So Dollar Tree often has these little pieces like the Welcome Fall sign there. And if you can't find that, they sell furring strips. They sell so many things now in that long rectangle that you can use. And I just took a little bit of spackling and I'm filling in the holes on these pumpkins. They still sell these wooden pumpkins every year. And I'm just making the stem. And then, like I said earlier, I love my cream orange and green pumpkins, just that combination. So I ended up painting this one a little darker. I think this is like tan from the Waverly. It's not Waverly, but Waverly has a color like this. This is actually apple barrel paint, and I think it's like called khaki. It's called khaki. And I used white to kind of make lines. I've said many times, I am not a painter or artist. I do my best, but I'm trying to make like shadows on these pumpkins so they have character. And then I just took a pencil to make that little pumpkin groove right there. That's all I did. And I did that to all 3. Now you can stop there, but I felt like the lines didn't look quite, I don't know, at the time I was being really picky. So I took some brown paint, went over them and kind of blurred it with a sponge. And then I went around the edges of my pumpkin with a sponge just to give them more definition and contrast. And I did the same thing with the sign and then just took a wet sponge and kind of blurred some brown paint on there. I printed up a cute little pumpkin patch because that's what these are. They're like tiny, right? They're cute and they're little, and it's a pumpkin patch. And I just took some pencil and I scribbled on the back of the computer paper. This actually works perfect. You don't have to buy the, carbon paper. You don't have to do anything fancy here. You can just take pencil, trace it. You'll see it, enough if it's light paint, and you can always use chalk if it's dark paint. You'll see it enough where you can copy. And then I took the Dollar Tree cubes and used those on the back of these pumpkins to make them stand up. I put a little bit of the Spanish moss at the base of each one of those. I put some leaves at the base and some little tiny leaves up at the trunk right there, and we're all done. And this is one of my all-time favorites too. I think this DIY came up so cute. I don't have it anymore. I actually gave this to a neighbor when I moved. I would love to make another one. And again, I'd love to know what you guys think. For these next little pumpkins, this was also a huge hit. You're going to use the Dollar Tree crates. I glued one on top of each other and the others side by side. So one's vertical and one's horizontal. And then I painted them orange and cream. I'm just doing my own little distressing. You can choose however you want to do this. And I made a messy bow. Those are my ribbon choices right there. And I put that on top of the pumpkin. And I went ahead and I added all my little embellishment. I cut off these little pumpkin picks. They usually have those every year. And I glued that in the center. And then I do end up on this one having to take the stem off and make it taller. So after I'm looking at it with all my embellishments, I go, oh, darn it. And easy enough, it just popped off and I put a taller stem on. Next, I took this metal ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I cut it down the center. And I twirled it around the end of a paintbrush to make the little curly cubes on top of the pumpkin. You could use wire for this. That would look really cute too. I just wanted to do it kind of chunky. And that was it. We're done with this DIY. It was a huge hit. Still a huge hit if you make, everyone loves crepe pumpkins. I would love to make a huge one actually one day, like for the front porch. But here they are. They came up so cute. Love this one too. Let me know what you think. During the autumn season, Dollar Tree will often sell these open pumpkins with just a frame, I guess. And I just grabbed one and I painted it white. And then I used watered down paint to stain this. And then I did some white paint to kind of make it look distressed. Again, I love distressed looking for fall. You could just paint this black if that's your style, but that's what I did. And then I kind of like just took like a wired brush that was kind of old and wiry, full of paint. You know how it gets chunky full of paint and it makes it hard and stiff, and that put lines at the top to make like a faux stem. And then I took one of these trash cans from Dollar Tree. It was a great way to make a faux chicken wire. They now have these barbecue grills that work really, these like grates I've seen like for the barbecue. I've seen those and I've seen other creators use them, and that would work for chicken wire. You could use whatever you want for the chicken wire. They sell chicken wire, actual chicken wire at Dollar Tree sometimes. So keep your eye out. And I painted this one gray, and then I added some metallic paint on the top to make it look more authentic. I grabbed some more of those metal word signs. They sell them now in wood too. And you could put anything. You could put a fall picture in the center here. You could put some fall leaves, and I used the metal leaf here. I believe it was from another DIY, but any leaf would work. And I did a little bit of the raffia. I think that was a Hula skirt from Dollar Tree, and we're all done with this one. And I love the way this one came out too. I think it's perfect for farms if you guys go to pumpkin patches or apple orchards or whatever you and your family love to do during the autumn season. This is a great way to get that festivity in your home. Here's a great DIY for the towering blocks from Dollar Tree. I just glued a bunch of them together to make big cubes, and with each level I would add more and more. So I do show you the numbers here in case you can pause it and count, I guess. 'Cause I wanted to make this, again, these are supposed to be like Instagram videos. Once I was done with my little cubes, I just piled them on top. This is one of my all-time favorites too. It was on my tier tray, but it's a certain, it is a great shelf sitter as well. Or an accent piece. You don't have to have a tiered tray for this. And I used my favorite colors as usual, the orange and the green and the cream, and I did the white paint on the orange and the green, and then the brown paint distressing on the cream one. I added some Spanish moss in between each layer, and I piled these up, and then I'm going to add the top with a little stem to make, it looks like a towering pumpkin, I guess a pumpkin tower. I don't know why I liked this one so much. It was really heavy in my hands too. It was like a little chunky beast, but it was super cute, you guys. Look at that. I put a sunflower on top, some lace, raffia, came up so cute. Again, great for the tiered trays, but you can absolutely put this on a shelf or just next to a bigger project that you've made, and it's fun to make and it looks cute when you're done. They sell these Dollar Tree round wall plaques you can pick up, and they're already ready to go pretty much. So I just added a little bit more stain around the edge, and I whitewashed the front. I wanted the wood to show through, so I didn't go heavy with that. And then these little stickers were from one of the decals, I guess, from Dollar Tree that I found, and I had the word home. So I put home on top. Then I cut a foam pumpkin in half, and I carved a little hole in the pumpkin, just a little area. And that was perfect. Once I was done with that, I glued it on the bottom of the sign, and then I just started filling it with flowers, fall flowers. And this was a huge hit. I wasn't even sure to put this in the video, but the response from you guys was so, well, I don't know if it's you, or I think there's probably a whole new group of people watching, because a lot of these were made years ago, but the response was so positive. They love this, and it's so simple to do. You get a big bang for a little effort, right? Tiny effort here. And I did end up putting a little bit of a stain on the pumpkin because it just looked too one-dimensional for me. So I just took some watered down like wax just to kind of make the pumpkin stand out a little bit better. And I added sunflower to make it happy. And this is what we ended up with. And again, such a cute fall DIY. I think this would be great for the front door. I would love to make another. Again, I think I gave this one away. I think my daughter put in for this one. She was like, I want that. So I gave it to her because I love her. But I would love to make another one and put this on the front door because I think it's perfect for the autumn season. For this one, you'll just need some cardboard. I've got a huge fan base for my cardboard crafts, so I thought I'd add this in there because it was a huge hit. I just grabbed some Dollar Tree pumpkins for their shape, literally. And you could also print these up offline, or if you're really good at drawing, you could freehand them. And it comes in as almost a free DIY because you literally could cover this with newspaper if you wanted to. I mean, you can get really creative here and have fun. I had some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, but you could literally use newspaper. I mean, this easily could come in as a free DIY. And of course, if you watch my channel, you know I cannot stand the side of cardboard showing. If you're going to craft with cardboard, at least for me, I have to cover the sides. So it's my dirty little secret. And then I just go about decorating the front of these with different bows and ribbons and flowers and leaves. And this is where your creativity could come in. I add those little wire curly cubes. And then I had some leftover furring strip, which they now sell at the Dollar Tree, or you could use scrap wood if you have it at home. Anything would work for the base. And I use these little cubes to hold it up on the furring strip, but I did end up having to put the towering blocks on the back. It wasn't sturdy enough. You could also use paint sticks. You just need something, to hold it up straight so it doesn't fall. And when I was, done and it worked and it was standing up, we were all done. And this came up so cute. I actually had this at the base of my fireplace, and it was cardboard nobody would ever know. And it added so much festivity and fall vibes in my home. I loved this one. Now, if you can find the Dollar Tree metal ribbon, this is a great pumpkin DIY. They actually sell these metal pumpkins at Hobby Lobby, and they are expensive. So if you find the metal ribbon, grab it up. You may even be able to order it on Amazon. I'm not sure. I've never looked. But you just make circles and you use wire. I'm using wire that I actually pulled out from wire ribbon. I saved that. You know how ribbon has wire at the edges? If you cut it, sometimes the wire's poking you in it, or you want your ribbon to flop. You don't want it to be all stiff like that. Pull that wire out, save it, because it comes in handy for crafting, and it's super thin and not noticeable, if that makes sense. So they sell these in the craft section. They're little plastic jars. I'm just after the lid because that was the perfect size for what I needed. I tied all of these together using wire. So I used wire to tie the circles. Then I used twine. Now, oh yeah, that's right. I did use twine. I ended up painting the twine gray. And it's because I wanted them to be more flexible because I wanted to pull them into the circle. And I was worried if I used wire, it wouldn't be as flexible. You could try it. I was just worried that the wires, because it was really thin, right? The wire that comes out of the side of the ribbon is super easy to break. So since I knew I was going to kind of be tugging on it and pulling it into a circle, I chose to go with the twine. And then I just use that lid as a base to fill it up with whatever you want. You can use Spanish moss, Excelsior grass, whatever you want. There I go. I'm painting it gray so you don't see them at all. And then I turned my pumpkin upside down and I ended up covering that part with some more of the Spanish moss just to give the center, with the metal ribbon, it's a little bit different because the center is see-through, right? You can see through, and you kind of really have to put something in the center to make it look more complete. You'll understand if you choose to make this DIY, you do need something in the center, and that's why the lid. And if you make this bigger, you could use a mayonnaise lid. I mean, you could do whatever you want, but you do need to fill your center up with something. And I'm just using my embellishments here with the raffia, the leaves, my usual, and my little curly cube, my usual. That's what I love. They're just, it's Same thing with the same little pumpkin, but look at how cute this guy came up. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Again, it looks like something store-bought in person. I still have this one. It is so beautiful. I would love to know if anyone tried it in the comments. Let me know what you think. This next one was a French country interpretation. So for these little Dollar Tree cutouts that they sell, and I think they still bring them out occasionally, I just took my favorite napkin, and then I had some paper I bought from Amazon, and I still have some of that stuff that has like French writing on it. You can print this up. You can actually find like old newspaper stuff you can print up. You don't have to buy it. And I just covered that, then decorated the top of my pumpkins. And here's the dunnage blocks that I've talked about before. Usually you can get it free from Home Depot. It's like junk wood that they use to bring in the big plywood, and they usually throw it away, and a lot of managers will give it to you for free. And it's great if you want this look with like already rustic wood with like a print on it, and it's got that little groove too, which comes in really handy for like this. See how I can just glue the pumpkins on the back of it and then push the Spanish moss inside the groove? It just comes in really handy for DIYs. So sometimes I'll give it to you. Sometimes, I've heard now from people that some managers are just stingy and they don't want to. They just don't want you to have anything free. Some people are like that. They're like, no. And other people are like, sure, it's trash. You can have it. We're going to chuck it. You just have to try. But you can absolutely fake this if you can't find it and make it with a piece of wood just by using stamps and some paint. Anyway, this is it. Oh, this was fun. This was shower curtain rods from the Dollar Tree, one of their Hula skirts, and I just wrapped up all of these rings with the Hula skirt. Sounds like it's, well, it is kind of time consuming, but it was super easy to do. You could just watch TV while you're doing it or relax. Crafting is fun. It's meant to relax, you guys. And then I used a cinnamon stick in the middle for a pumpkin stem, and I glued it to the cinnamon stick, and then I just did my raffia and bows on top. And that was it. And this was such a cute pumpkin when it was all done. I did end up putting this on my tiered tray, and you'll see next to it I made one out of the Dollar Tree checkers. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I just painted the checkers orange and distressed them a little bit and glued them around the cinnamon stick. I don't know if Dollar Tree still sells the checkers. That's why I didn't show you that one, but it's easy enough to make if you want to make it. So I found these at the Dollar Tree, and I really liked them because you kind of see similar things at Hobby Lobby and other places, but it's more expensive. But I just thought there was something about that plaid paper. It totally looked like paper, and it just looked kind of cheesy, I guess. I mean, it's okay in a pinch, but I knew I could give these a facelift. So I grabbed that wooden plaque that I had in the beginning. It's in the upper left-hand corner there. And then I took the paper off, painted this pumpkin white, did some brown at distressing to make it look more woodsy, I guess. And I also used the paint to paint the edge of the fall vibes right there, that orange pumpkin, so it didn't look like MDF board. And something I love to do that kind of gives your crafts a birch wood look, like a vibe, but it's really easy to do, is when you get those thick pieces, when you purposely paint on like a thicker piece of brown paint like you saw, and then you just rub out with a baby wipe the center so it gets lighter, and it kind of gives it more like a wood feel, like a knot or something. Like it's supposed to be like a faux right there, like a faux knot on the wood. It works. It looked really nice. And I stained my base. And then these little, I think they're apples. They could be pumpkins, but they sell them at Dollar Tree. I just thought instead of wooden beads, it would be fun to put 2 of those hanging off of the pumpkin, cover the top with a raffia bow, and then re-glue these together and glue them on a more expensive looking stand, right? Because that wooden plaque is a lot nicer looking. These came on like a thin piece of wood, like a ruler. You know what I mean? It didn't look that good. It's okay. Again, it's okay, but this is an upgrade to these, so they look more like they come from a higher end store. And I glued that on top, and we're all done. And I think for the effort and the price, this at the time cost me $2.50. Totally worth it. It's a great little shelf sitter. This is a very fun thing to do with your Dollar Tree Hula skirt. For those of you that are always wondering what you should do or what you could do, You just glue them on the back of one of these Dollar Tree pumpkins, and I tied mine together just to give it a little bit more control so I could glue it in the back. But I just covered this entire pumpkin with that Hula skirt, and you could take some watered down paint in any color you want and spray this Hula skirt. It will absolutely, because kind of like, I think it's made out of paper more, or it's papery. I absolutely believe it would take a stain. I didn't even think of that, but you could make this orange, brown, or you could just squirt different colors on to give it like almost a tie-dye look, whatever you want. Have fun. Again, have fun. And that's it. I just used my twine to make a stem, put some embellishment on the top, and we ended up with this super cute pumpkin idea, right? Because the Dollar Tree MDF pumpkins are usually so cheap. They don't look nice. And these are just ideas for you to upgrade them and make them look much nicer in your home. You can use any Dollar Tree foam pumpkin for this one. I'm using the one that came with a little plaque, but just a foam pumpkin. And I took my favorite napkin again. This was another French country inspired little pumpkin, and I just decoupaged it on using Mod Podge. That was it. I put a cinnamon stick down in the middle, then added my little top embellishment, and another really cute idea for a Dollar Tree pumpkin upgrade. I love these chunky Dollar Tree MDF figure. I don't even know if they're MDF board, but I love that they make them chunky. See how they're thick and they can stand up on their own? And of course, Dollar Tree tile. Now this was an accidental happy accident. If you like modern decor or glam decor, you could leave these gold and use like shiny ribbon on top, and it would go with your decor theme. I wanted mine, or look at this when you do the white paint. Anyway, what I discovered is when I put white paint on and then just kind of tried to remove a little bit of it, it still showed that really pretty design like that. And I thought, ooh, that looks French. This is another like French country pumpkin. Hands down would go with that. And it's a pretty pumpkin period. You don't have to have French country decor for this. I mean, I put it in my house. My house isn't necessarily French country, but I just did my little embellishments. And that is a pine cone there that I found inside the potpourri bag that they sell at the Dollar Tree. I just took that out and used it as part of the embellishment because I thought it looked kind of rustic. And I thought it was a nice opposite to this. You've got these glamorous pumpkins that look very French country. And then I put the wooden beads on, the lace, and the little pine cone top with the leaf. I thought these came up so pretty, and they were so fast and easy to make. For this one, you'll just need 2 Dollar Tree pumpkins in different sizes. And, it doesn't matter which one you grabbed. I grabbed the one with the cloth and the one I showed you. And then I painted one orange, painted one green, and then did a whitewash over them. And this was also in my lineup for French country inspired fall decor. And I used a wooden bead that I stained for the top of that pumpkin, and I pushed some raffia down into the center of the green one, glued the other little pumpkin on the top, and then sat it on top of a bed spring that I had from a rollaway bed I threw away. And I told my husband, oh wait, before you throw that away, grab the springs. But you can buy these springs on Amazon. They're not expensive. I didn't know that. So if you love this look where you can cradle different crafts inside the bed spring, they are available on Amazon. And you can also use a candlestick from Dollar Tree to sit these on top of. That would look just as cute. But here's the final look. Another pumpkin DIY that can come in as a free DIY for you is to save your foam. This is a little bit more fun than cardboard. It's just another option for you if you like your crafts to be a bit thicker than cardboard. I just took my favorite fabric, covered the foam, put ribbon around the edges to cover the edges just to make it look nice. Actually, it was already covered with the fabric. You can skip that. But I glued that down on top of a Dollar Tree sign that I cut, and then I put all of my little embellishments on the front of my pumpkins. I used towering blocks to give them more support behind them so they wouldn't fall over. And again, I think even adding a paint stick, like a craft stick on the back of these, and then your towering blocks on top of that would give it even more support. I used some wooden beads from the Dollar Tree for legs, and this board was a little bowed because it was humid outside, and a lot of people will tell me they notice the Dollar Tree signs are bowed or warped a little bit. And a super easy hack is you just get paint sticks, glue it on the bottom, and you kind of hold the board in the opposite direction while it's drying. Like just really subtle, not a lot, don't bend it too much, just a little bit. And when you're all done, this will be absolutely straight and it will never warp on you again, guaranteed. So that's a nice little hack, but this is how it came out. And again, if you have scrap material, free foam from packages, you could use something else for the base or skip the base altogether. You don't have to have a base, but I think it's a great fall DIY. If you had fun today, give the video a thumbs up. I hope I gave you lots of inspiration. And if you enjoyed the video, here's another one I think you'll enjoy watching next.